Hi again, Christine. So we're on episode 3 already of our podcast. And I did want to start this out with a nice little congratulations. Your daughter didn't think we stunk up the place.
Oh, wow.
Uh, she watched our first episode and she said it looked great. And she has agreed to be a guest blogger. So I know how busy she is. And so, yeah, what do you think?
Oh, wow. I hadn't even heard that yet either. So that's awesome. Yes, she's traveled the world for sure. And we can talk about her maybe in the next episode, because she probably inspired me also to kind of, leave the homestead and travel. But yes, she's works remote, but also married to someone who travels. So she has spent many, 10 months in Norway, 10 months in, England. She's done stints like that, 10 months at a time, 8 to 10 months at a time. So yeah, she's traveled Europe extensively.
I think we'll get her on for an
Okay.
episode, but maybe she won't do it till she comes back to the US after this
Maybe,
contract.
yeah, we'll
But
see.
yeah, so Lauren is my hero. So are you.
Oh,
And we've talked about, that you have the Wander gene, I have the Wander gene. It's in our DNA. Today's merch shirt is peace, love, travel. And I love the tie-dye look of today's look. It's got can you see it here? The
yeah, yeah, that's
Wander
awesome.
gene logo.
Very nice.
Um, so Lauren gave me an idea for some shirts that I'm going to play around with some ideas. So that was really exciting that she had some ideas too. So today's episode, we're talking about starting the conversation about monetizing. And so Lauren has monetized her travels, and you have, and so have I. So
Yeah.
let's talk about me and you right now. Um, you are in Malibu, you said yesterday, and you're getting ready to leave there today.
Right,
And
we're
we're going to
packing.
do a secret episode. We're not going to tell where you're going next because I think next episode is going to be where you're going. So if we can leave that.
Sure, sure.
Let's talk about those 5 years. How have you been able to travel like this? You've sold your house, we know that. And
Right,
now
right.
5 years you've been traveling. So how does it work?
Yeah, so not having like domestic service experience, but Terry, my partner, did. And then taking over the apartment building for almost 2 years, I got some maintenance and just more renting apartments and that kind of experience. So like workingcouples.com, they have a lot of jobs out there for couples, and it doesn't matter married or not, doesn't matter same sex, Caretaker Gazette. And then there's just domestic service agencies that we worked with. So a lot of them wanted live on experience. And of course, Terry having domestic service, but not live on, where the housing is included. So we did our first gig in Paris, Kentucky, which was just a stone throw away from Winchester, which is too funny, which is where you had your coffee shop years ago. So we started in Paris, Kentucky, maybe 45 minutes from Lexington, if no one knows where that is. So it's very rural. The house was on about 94 acres of land.
Wow.
And the house itself was like 40,000 square feet. Not kidding.
I'm sorry, hold the phone. How do you have a house that's 40,000 square feet?
It's amazing. It had an indoor pool. It looked like it was like a state park. I mean, it was it was crazy. The in-law suite was 5,000 square feet for the mother-in-law to live. Two elevators in the house, two separate elevators, one in the in-law suite and one in the main house. Had a 12-car garage. That house was it was crazy how it was built, how well it was built. The driveway was over a little maybe a half mile or more. The postal man wouldn't even come up. Postal service wouldn't even deliver to the house because they're not allowed to go that far off the road.
Wow.
So it was quite crazy. Um,
So let's go back to because you mentioned some .coms and stuff, and maybe when we get this uploaded, that you could put those links in
yes, for
the
sure.
um,
I,
in the
I maybe even in the description I'll put those. Yeah, so that people can find those. So we got that job just by putting an ad out, actually, in one of I think it was Caretaker Gazette or workingcouples.com. Maybe it was Caretaker Gazette. We just put an ad in there that like we're looking for work. And this woman replied, and that's how it got started. So
Now, is
well,
this like, when you're saying this, help our viewers, all 32 of them maybe at this point, um, domestic help, like, are you wearing like the maid uniform and you're the downstairs maid? I mean,
you could
what is
be.
the deal? I mean, does it, how, you were a programmer with the
Yeah,
bank,
right.
and so how is that compared to like your previous line of work? How do you work that in your head? I'm going to go clean toilets now.
Yeah, and that did happen. But it was just a choice, I guess, that we made to try and travel and, take on. I'm a doer, though. We're both kind of hands-on people. If you're asked to do something, you just go ahead and do it. So, but like personal assistance, like organizing things, and that could be organizing anything from the pantry to the linen closet to so I did kind of more of those ends of things where again SOP I think is standard operating procedures. So I wrote up like standard operating procedures for the house, how maybe some of the mechanics of the house worked. So I tried to kind of take on those tasks where Terry was more like, don't worry, I got this. I can go out and prune a bush and I can, rake the lawn and I can whatever. So, so we kind of complemented each other in that way. Uh,
So a skill set, would you say, is the, like I talked about improv the other day? Yes, and
yeah,
sure.
exactly. Right. Yeah. I mean, something comes up and it doesn't matter what, you're just like, yes, sure, I can do that. So for sure. All those last minute little things.
All right, so back to it. So I needed to know what this lived like. And so you applied and somebody responded. This 40,000 square foot house, someone just randomly responds to this person. Are you background checked? I mean,
Some of it, yes. So in fact, this job, because so many of them that we did apply for, and we did apply for a lot, wanted more live-on experience. But this woman was like, okay, never met the woman. She hired us over the phone.
this is a
Because
recurring theme.
so, and here's another funny story. She lived on the Big Island, and she had a ranch there, and she was moving. Well, I don't know if she fully moved everything, but when we were accepting containers full of stuff shipped from Hawaii to Kentucky. So we kind of helped her get the house organized, and to be honest, that we knew it was going to be kind of a short-term thing. We were there maybe only like 3 months or something, and then there's a whole long story behind that. But I'll just mainly stay to the positives. But she paid us $120,000. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment above the 12-car garage, and there
She
was
paid you how much?
the 12-car garage, but it
No,
was
how much did she pay you?
120,000.
Okay, I'm a public school teacher in this county in which I live, and half that.
Well, I mean, that's for two of us, so it was 60 a piece. So,
Well, I am a public school teacher dealing with 150 lovelies every day right
yeah.
now while I'm waiting to graduate from working full time. So that was surprising. When you told me that, I'm like, trusted house sitters. I've signed up for that. You talked about woofing. There's places you can just go watch someone's house, and I think it's awesome that you get to go do it and travel,
Yeah.
and you get to go there for free. And I've had people come to my house and watch my dogs. I haven't had an opportunity yet to do the trusted house sitters, but I'm thinking what you're doing is maybe way better.
Well, and again, domestic service, it could be anywhere from a nanny to a personal assistant to house manager to a butler,
What
housekeeping.
about like a homeschool teacher, for example? Say if
Yeah,
it were me.
right. I mean, who knows, right? I mean, the possibilities there really are endless. You'd have to kind of put yourself out there, apply, see what's going, look at some of the jobs that are listed in Caretaker Gazette or workingcouples.com. And so the other jobs that we've had along the way, like that was our first one. Then we went to DC, and that was another short-term kind of gig there too, but got to know the butler. So again, as you get into some of these roles, you network with people. And he was super awesome. He came here at a very young age. And when I say here to the US, he's from Cyprus. So he had all kinds of stories for us from Cyprus. Beautiful area, it looks like. But
Cyprus, is that, where is Cyprus? Is it near Greece? Am
yes,
I?
yeah,
Okay.
like Mediterranean. Yeah, yeah.
Well, the world, but
I
tell me that
know,
I,
but and again, don't quote me on that, but I believe, yes, you're right in that area. But he came as a domestic servant at like at 15, and
mm,
a lot of people do enter into the domestic service at a very young age.
mm,
So he was brought up serving the wealthy, if you will.
mm.
So he had been around for a long time and had a lot of cool stories.
So you met him in DC and
In
then,
DC. And that job actually, I think we were paid 160,000, so 80,000 a piece. So that was pretty nice. And all meals included. We made employee lunch. So again, like you're just asked to do things, but and that was more Terry. Terry's got a professional baking background also and has worked in restaurants. So they're like, "Can you make employee lunch?" And we're like, "Sure." So
yeah.
again, it's getting dishes out, it's cleaning up after the employee lunch, it's keeping the kitchen clean, mopping the floors, so yeah, pretty much.
Were were there sprouts on these sandwiches and
So
such?
I did grow sprouts there. They were kind of interested in that. And it's funny, I kind of said Brussels sprouts yesterday because when I tell people I've grown sprouts, they're like, Brussels sprouts? And it's like, no, I'm talking more like, broccoli, alfalfa, clover, radish, sprouts, microgreens, sunflower, sweet peas, wheatgrass, things like that. So,
Alfalfa sprouts. Yeah.
right.
They're so protein rich though, right?
And mung beans. Mung beans was the biggest seller in Hawaii.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
mung bean sprouts.
So, I mean, it's funny how you just thread every little thing that you collect along the way. You're able to thread that in as you go forth and roam on. And so the butler then,
Hang on,
while
let
he
me
was
just
there,
close this door.
okay, so Christine has left the frame momentarily. And are you guys excited? She has some great stories. I love these stories.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, and it could take us hours to get through all of our stories that we've. And then from there, we went to Pittsburgh, and we worked for a company called RLC, Resort Lifestyle Communities, and they have buildings, communities throughout the U.S. I mean, they have 60 plus probably senior homes, if you will. So that was more of our apartment. And again, your resume is always like a living document, they call it, right? So if you're applying for a position, you're going to highlight whatever they're looking for. So for
Mhm.
that position, we had a resume that kind of highlighted our property management skills. So we were what was called a community managers. And as a community manager, you just oversaw, it was like 100 plus unit building. It was huge, the building. I don't know if that was like 180,000 square feet. I mean, it was a huge building, had a huge theater. So it was built to look like a cruise ship, which is really interesting to you. So they
And this
built
is in Pittsburgh?
and well, yeah, that's one location. They had actually they had two, yeah, two in Pittsburgh area, I should say.
One
But
moment. I'm listening. I'm printing because I'm making merch today. These are
yeah,
little glass cleaners, and I got to make sure my printer's not messing up.
sure.
Go ahead.
So yeah, RLC, and again, they paid 120,000. You had a two-bedroom apartment, you had free food, they gave you a stipend for health insurance, they gave you a 401k match after I think it was a year, but they paid relocation fees. So I mean, again, if you do your research, and Hawthorne is another one kind of similar to RLC, but RLC is Resort Lifestyle Community, and Hawthorne are two of the bigger seniors like communities that look for community managers to be on site. And you are kind of like first responders, I guess, in a lot of ways, because at least at RLC, I know they gave every resident like a pendant that they wore. So if they fell, they could press that pendant. And again, as a community manager, you'd come running and see what was going on, and probably call 911 if needed. And of course, we had ambulances there a lot, but but
Like you do.
that's but if you love working with the elderly, it was very rewarding to see them and help them out. And again, when you talk about, we had one resident that called it like God's waiting room. But
That's Florida. That's the whole state of Florida where I currently reside.
right. So
So you were how long in Pittsburgh area?
about a year, and then we came
And
out
how
west.
long did it, what were the gaps? Because now we've heard three.
Right. Yeah.
So what were the gaps between each of
Each one
these
of those.
gigs?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Lexington. Well, when we were in Paris, Kentucky, I think it was maybe 6 weeks to maybe 2 months that we were, and we just actually that was the only time after we left 5 years ago that we actually rented an apartment, and maybe it was like 2 months that we were in the apartment, and then found the one in DC, and then the DC one. Our friend that is in domestic service, who we had never met, and here's the other funny part, so it's a good thing you bring this up. Um, we had been talking to her, and we're like, oh, we're looking for another, this one is over, kind of temporary thing. And she's like, well, I'm only an hour outside of DC. She's like, come live with me until you find your next one. And we're like, really? And she's like, yeah. So not only did we show up with like a suitcase like we did at your house, we showed up with a U-Haul. So yeah,
That's great. I love
brand
it.
new house. She just closed on it. Like we went to the walkthrough with her. That's the first time we met her in person. So crazy story. So there's always good people along the way, and the universe, I think, just puts those people out there for you. And worry is just something. If you're on the road and you travel, worry just cannot. There's no room for worry in your life, right?
Did
So,
you see that shirt of mine?
oh,
Wander
one,
more or worry less, wander more.
yes,
Or
that's
yeah.
yeah, no,
And so I
that's
have one
awesome
that
too.
has a VW bus on it, and I
I
have one
love
that
it.
has a camp trailer on it. So
Love it. Yeah, and that's so true.
yeah.
I mean, you could worry all you want, but it doesn't really help. So anyway, we showed up at her house and we were there. And of course, being in domestic service, she gave us so many tips, was super helpful. And then we helped her out too. She wanted to start a garden, so we helped, brand new house, so we helped her start her garden. We, helped her move into the house, get things situated. I mean, it was an awesome kind of, we called it the commune. And we still keep in touch with her, and she's super great. So yeah, you need people like that for like those in between. And being in domestic service all her life, she started out in California. She grew up in California, and then became a nanny. And she traveled the world, kind of being a nanny, and now is into recruiting. Um,
So we're going to get her on here, right?
so yeah, I was thinking that too. She would love to, would love to.
Yeah. I
And
think that I really think that if we put the right hashtags or however you do that on the YouTube, I don't know. This is what people want to know about. I belong to a bunch of different travel groups mostly on Facebook. Um, but those are the kinds of questions people are always asking. How do you afford that? How do you do that?
mhm.
And um, you seem to have hit the mother lode of unlocking the key to it
Well,
and
it's been a roller
having
coaster.
you have to be willing, but that's part of the wander gene
It
is
is.
that you tolerate a roller coaster well, whereas other people that don't have it, they don't tolerate it well. So really maybe you're only competing with 1/5 of the world because only 1/5 of the world has a wander gene.
Right.
um,
And not
so
everybody wants to live on property. Not everybody wants to, not everybody wants that. And it is a commitment, clearly.
and that's the key is that it seems to me like the highest paying jobs, the coolest gigs have the least number of people competing for it.
Mhm.
I've been on game shows. I've been on a few game shows and I
Yeah,
love
that's
them.
fun
Wheel of
too. Yeah.
Fortune and all kind of stuff. And people are like, oh my God, how did you do that? And I'm like, I sent in an application and I went to a tryout and they picked me. I was on Nailed It, a very famous show on Netflix, the baking show. I was on Nailed It because I submitted my application and they
And
didn't
do they
find
pay for you? Do they pay for you to come out there then?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
They paid for the whole trip, and I didn't win money. I came in second probably, but um, that was a nice free trip to LA from
Yeah.
Florida.
Well, and what an
And
experience, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, people are like, people recognize me sometimes. I had purple hair. I'm season 2, episode 2, fictitious and delicious, and it's the unicorn cake. But I'm a really bad baker. Spoiler alert. um, so, okay, so we did Pittsburgh, we're in DC, we're staying with this lady, and now what?
And actually, after Pittsburgh, we went back to stay with her for a couple months. Terry had a surgery, and then we packed up our bags. We in the California, how we got out to the West Coast, which is where Terry really wanted to be. My partner, from the time we left Buffalo, he was like, "I want to live on the West Coast." He had lived in San Diego. He never felt better, so he was like, "I want to, go to the West Coast." So we made our way to California, drove cross country, packed up and at that point, after when we left Pittsburgh, RLC, we decided we're going to downsize. Anything we own is going to fit in a pickup truck. So we are now, instead of a U-Haul and a car, we are now down to one, and it's a Santa Cruz pickup truck. So it's not a huge pickup, but everything we own fits in that truck with a car carrier. It does have a rack up on top with like a car carrier thing. So, which has my skis in there.
So you go from the East Coast to the West Coast, and where did you?
And we ended up there. We kind of did a house sitting. So that, but it got us to the West Coast. And sometimes you have to make, because when we were on the East Coast applying to West Coast, they're like, because again, if you have to pay for relocation or you've never lived on the West Coast, are you really going to like it out here? So there's just a lot of concerns for someone who's looking to hire you. But if you're out on the West Coast, we figured maybe we could, find something. And we did. Within like a month of just doing the house sitting thing, we had an interview up in Mountain View, which is in the Bay Area, for an apartment building. And she hired us. So we went from Somas County, which is where we kind of did the house sitting, Ventura County, up to Mountain View. And there while we were in Somas, we met a great couple, and she'll probably want to come on too as a guest. But
Where's
she has ADD.
Somas County?
Somas.
I know you see
So
me popping up like Jack in the Box, taking care of this printing and everything. I'm listening though because I got a
yeah,
lot of attention.
yeah.
So
Somas.
Somas County is next
It's
to
in
Ventura.
Ventura. It's not far from here, actually. Like it's an hour away from here because one of the jobs I did while we were there was to drive to Malibu to the post office and get her mail for her. So it's kind of come full circle that we're in Malibu again right now. But so we did that for like a month. The people in the guest house are vegans and serious vegans. So after we were up in Mountain View, she's like, "This doesn't sound like a very good job for you." She's like, "I have friends up in like Fort Bragg, Mendocino area, and they have a vegan restaurant, and you guys would fit in so much better up there." So we
So they
applied.
fired you?
What's it?
Who fired you?
Who fired?
Oh no, you didn't get fired.
No, not from the apartment building. No, but she was my friend in the that we met in the guest house. She was just recommending we go up to Mendocino, up north to Northern California. So we applied for that, and because Mountain View was okay, but oh my goodness,
Not you.
it's
Not
so like
you.
everything's concrete. You look everywhere, and it's very busy. I mean, talk about autonomous vehicles and things. I mean, we saw Waymos and Neuro. I mean, the Bay Area is mobbed with just Google, and they're all right there. So it's just very high tech, and it's very busy. So anyway, she's like, "You guys don't belong there. You should try and get into this, place up in Mendocino." So we applied. We went up, and here again, like when you interview, like especially for the domestic service things, I mean, they'll pay you for a trial, so they'll fly you out, or I mean, you could make $1,000 as a couple, maybe $1,000 a day just doing a trial to see if you're compatible with, so.
You have such a wealth of information. I am just like, my wheels are spinning, and I know people that I want to get them on, but I want to connect you too with these
Yeah.
people because Oh my gosh, just so many people I've met along the way that I still stay in touch with. And it's so important. You use the word networking, and boy, it sounds to me like what you found, the networking aspect of it, and being a good human, being a person, being reliable, being open, all of those things are just so vital. And I'm sure what attracts people to you and Terry, that you have that trustworthiness just in
For sure. I
spades.
mean, to be able to come into someone's home, I mean, you have to have that, ability. So then that takes us up to Northern California, which was just beautiful. I've never really explored the West Coast much, but oh, just amazing. All the redwoods. And there it was like an eco luxury hotel, if you will. Most of the rooms, the cheapest were like 300 to 400, all the way up to $700 a night. Um, and the restaurant was attached, so we had all our free meals, lodging. We were kind of in a small little cabin in the redwoods. Just, I mean,
What town was this close to?
it was in Mendocino. Mendocino is actually very small. It's maybe 800 people, but Fort Bragg probably would have been the bigger city nearby.
Yeah,
Um,
I worked in Humboldt in
oh yeah,
Eureka.
yeah.
I worked there for a summer teaching people to drive in Arcadia and in Eureka.
Okay,
That's
well, those were not far. Yeah, not
yeah,
far at all. And I know you lived in Oregon too, didn't you? For
yeah. I lived in Northern
like,
Colorado, Redding, which would be
yeah, yeah.
it's north and east of Fort Bragg because it's right across from Eureka.
Weren't you
And then
by like Lake Klamath, right?
yeah,
Lake
Klamath,
Klamath.
that's Klamath
Yeah,
Falls is, I was Reading and Klamath Falls are about 2 hours apart. And
right.
so I grew up a lot in Redding, California, and then also all through high school. I went to probably only 6 or 8 schools in Oregon, in Klamath Falls. I
But
graduated high school in
so,
Klamath.
and maybe you forgot this, but like I use a product called E3 Live, and they are in, yeah, Lake Klamath, and you're like, oh, I used to swim in that lake or something, and I'm like, oh yeah, well, I drink the algae that comes out of there, so
Yeah, and no wonder why I was so healthy.
yeah, right.
Oh my God, we used to just come out of there and it would just be like these little threads in our bathing suit. And my dad got this great idea that he wanted to have a record for pulling up a certain number of water skiers. And we had 16 of us behind his dual motor 250 Merc Cruiser boat. And he pulled us up in Klamath Lake, and all that torque just pulled up all of that from the bottom because that lake is not very deep
Um,
and just covered in that algae. No wonder why I was so healthy.
right? Yeah, yeah. Well, E3 Live is a product that we could talk about too. But um, so we loved it up there, and we were there close to a year and maybe 8, 10 months. I don't remember exactly. But then Terry got, because we apply for all these places, so they keep your resume. If a job comes up, they send you emails and things. And he got this email, and he was like, what do you think of this one? It's down in Malibu. And I'm like, I don't know. So, sounds okay. I said, we could interview, it never hurts to interview. So we interviewed and we came down here for a trial. Again, got paid to come down. So it's funny. We're PCH, as you know, in California too. Pacific Coast Highway is the whole length of California, but it's a long state, right? So Northern California to Southern California, I mean, it was a good 10+ hour drive to get down to Malibu. So we drove down, interviewed, stayed here again. They put you up, they took us out for dinner. And they ended up hiring us. So lo and behold, we go back to Northern California, give our notice, come down here, and we've been here a little over 19 months. So we're living in a condo, like a complex. They didn't really want us on site as much as they bought this condo down the road from them, and we get to live here, and then we would go to work. But we were just laid off from that, so we're actually moving out today, and we're heading to. We're going to take some time off, because that's the other thing is, many of these jobs do give you like 2 weeks paid time off, but I don't know. At this point, we're kind of like, I wish we had more time off or more time to travel. So right now, again, at this point, we're going to take maybe the next 6 weeks and just travel around. And it's funny today, the way the universe works. Through LinkedIn, I got an email to say, I have this great opportunity in Arizona. And it's like, so we'll see where we end up.
I am just so, this is just so cool. I I always like people think, I don't know, it's an ADD trait though, is, oh, you've done that. Well, I've done this too. And it's not one-upping person, it's finding those commonalities. And people that aren't like that can be really put off. And so I now someone was really put off with me doing that one time a couple of years ago. And it was someone I was traveling with for 30 days. So that
Yeah.
not to be a problem. But I used to live in Santa Monica. I lived
Okay.
there for about a year and walked down to the PCH from my condo about 7 blocks. So that had to be the most beautiful drive going all the way down the PCH from Mendocino
It's
down.
very beautiful. Very beautiful.
So pretty.
The whole PCA. I mean, yeah. I mean, Northern California was just outstanding, more with the ruggedness, like the
Mhm.
redwoods and the cliffs and the really crashing waves. Where here, Malibu is like super calm. It's kind of like a little bay. And when we can
Mhm.
walk to the beach, and we did, last night a sunset walk kind of a thing, and very calm. It's not rugged. It's more pastels. And this is the way I kind of, Northern California was more like bold, vivid colors. Here, everything's like pastels, very pale pink, the sunset.
Cal-
Yeah.
California is just such a magnificent. I mean, I don't know how many different ecosystems or whatever
Yeah, a lot of
geographic,
microclimates they call them too. Yeah.
so amazing.
Yeah.
So 18 months. And was that open-ended when you got it?
No, not really, but we did know that we were hired for a construction job that they were doing. They retiled the entire house, they put all new windows in. So once that was done, like just this past summer, they reduced our hours, and then well, 30 days ago, they gave us notice. And in California, they have to give you 30-day notice to vacate. So, we worked for 2 weeks, and then we've been living here for 2 weeks. And this condo that we're staying in is, I mean, they're asking 5,000 a month for it. So we've lived in a pretty nice place for the last 19 months. Yeah. So
And
no
so
complaints.
now you're off on a bit of a 6 week vacay. And then in the meantime, while you're vacating, you're going to be hitting those boards again.
Yeah, searching, hoping something comes through, looking for something. And I don't know, it just always does. So we'll see.
How do you keep, are you just naturally this way, or how do you keep the worry at bay? Like, where are we going to go after this 6 weeks?
Yeah, we
You
don't
know,
know. We don't know. And no, I would say I just keep it at bay. I mean, I put it out there, and if we do if we extend the Airbnb another, because we have an Airbnb in Arizona that we're staying at for 4 weeks or a month. And if we have to extend that, we extend it, or if we just go to another Airbnb for a month. I mean, and when I say only, I don't mean it that way, but the Airbnb is only 2,000 a month, which you could pay that in rent anywhere you go too.
mhm.
So, I mean, and we can maybe look, to find something cheaper even than that. But it's like a little tiny home, so that's kind of cute too, that we're going to stay in Arizona. And we wanted to get to Joshua Tree, so yeah. So, and I think it looks like we have maybe our time's up today, but we have so much more we could talk about, and I look forward to having my daughter on as a guest.
So you've talked about your daughter, you've got these other two friends. I have at least two people that I want to bring on. So we're going to call this monetizing your wander gene. And this is part one, episode 3, part one.
There you have it, right? For sure.
And so we're going to provide the links to the things that you talked about today. And then when I tell how mine probably won't be nearly as fabulous as yours, but when I talk about what I've done to monetize, then I'll share some links there too.
Awesome. Yeah, so much to talk about.
This is fantastic. I
Yeah,
love it.
love it. And
Thank
I
you.
love your brand. So go, Nicole.
Peace, love.